Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah with the Florida Agritourism Association. Thank you for taking time this afternoon to join us. We have Kristen here with Hipcamp, and she's going to introduce herself shortly, and I'm very excited about this opportunity. Um, just if anyone's having trouble hearing, here are some ideas for troubleshooting. I don't think anybody does. Just remember to keep your microphone muted so that we can hear Kristen. And everyone knows who we are. We're your Agritourism Association, and we have over 400 members. Don't forget, we have a conference coming up in, gosh, less than a month, July 19th. So we hope we'll see all of you there. And I will go ahead and stop sharing so you can, Kristen, if you want to get started.
Okay. Give me 1 second here to share screen. And okay, can everyone see my screen?
You're all good.
All right. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much to Sarah and for the Florida Agritourism Association for hosting this webinar and inviting Hipcamp to participate. My name is Kristen, as Sarah mentioned, and I'm based out of Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm actually accompanied by Ali Devereaux as well, who's on the call. He's one of our senior host acquisition managers, and he's based out of Maine. And we are usually a kind of a dream team in getting to go to these agritourism conferences and meeting with landowners like you all. So just excited to have him here. I've been at Hipcamp for about 5 years now, though, and I really appreciate everyone taking time out of their busy afternoons. Hopefully, it's not too hot in Florida as we jump into this afternoon session here. Before we get started, I thought it would just be great to know where folks are joining from. If you're open to it, feel free to go ahead and drop your name and location, maybe the name of your farm or business in the chat. And if you already know that you want to connect with someone from the Hipcamp team one-on-one to talk more about your farm business or whether camping-based agritourism might be the right fit for you, feel free to just ping Ali directly and he can set a follow-up conversation with you. So what is Hipcamp? I thought it would be maybe helpful to just level us up by making sure we're all on the same page here. Hipcamp is the #1 app to find and book campsites. And we partner with private landowners to promote new and unique places for people to stay, camp, and get outside. Listing on Hipcamp can range from commercial campgrounds and RV parks to farm stays, low impact tent and RV sites, cabins and vacation rentals, and camping structures like yurts and canvas tents. We like to say that there's something for everyone on Hipcamp. So how does it work? We partner with landowners in all 50 states, Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom. And more than half of the landowners we work with globally are welcoming campers to working lands. So farms, ranches, wineries, orchards, and engaging in what we call camping-based agritourism. So the way that it works is landowners sign up with Hipcamp as hosts. They create a profile for their property that shows the area or accommodation available to campers. And those campers search by location and book on our website and mobile app. Hosts control their own pricing and availability. It's free to list on Hipcamp, so campers book and pay for their stay directly through Hipcamp, and then we take a 15% commission from the bookings that we send you. And that commission covers secure payment processing, credit card fees, and liability insurance of up to $1 million per occurrence and property protection should something get damaged during a stay. And I know this is top of mind for a lot of the landowners that I meet with. If you're thinking about inviting folks to your land and someone twists their ankle in a gopher hole, Hipcamp has you covered. So getting started is really simple. We support our hosts with marketing, insurance, one-on-one coaching, and 24/7 support from real people. Whether you need help setting pricing, managing your calendar, or communicating with campers, our team is here to help every step of the way. We handle payments and payouts so you don't have to. You set your pricing, campers book and pay through Hipcamp, and then you get paid directly each week. We also help with, sorry, I'm a little out of order here. We also help with taxes. In many places, Hipcamp automatically collects and remits taxes on your behalf. And where we don't, we'll help you figure out the right tax rate and get everything set up so you can collect those taxes through the platform. We also provide some just simple calendar tools to help you manage your availability. If you already use another booking platform, you can sync calendars so you don't have to worry about double bookings or updating multiple systems by hand. Within Hipcamp, you can set your availability, check in, check out times. It's flexible and designed to work around the way that you want to host. And we work with a number of trusted partners from the Florida Wildlife Corridor to Florida Agritourism Association, the Community Alliance with Family Farmers, California certified organic farmers, and more to just provide resources and advocate for policies that support working lands. And we partner with many of these organizations because we share similar goals and values. Together, we have learned that camping is actually a critical source of revenue for our shared communities. And we've learned that it is a tool, one of many, I would say, that farmers and ranchers use to generate supplemental income and stay economically viable. So camping is a really critical tool for farmers, and we're seeing that really grow in the work that we're doing. And campers have really discovered farms through Hipcamp. I mentioned that half of the landowners we partner with are welcoming campers to working land. Well, more than half of the bookings we facilitate are actually happening on those working lands. There's real demand for these experiences. And this just isn't a trend. We're seeing interest in camping on farms and our own internal data. More than 40% of people on Hipcamp are going to book a place more than one time. So what you'll find is campers will come to your land, they'll have such an amazing time, and then they'll want to come back. And we are seeing a growing interest in on-farm camping, not just reflected in our data, but in industry data. Organizations like Campgrounds of America put out an annual kind of camping report, an outdoor hospitality report, and have listed that in the top 10 experiences that campers are looking for, we see agritourism, food tourism, and rural tourism as one of the top kind of trending themes across that cohort. So one of the questions that we hear most often is there really demand for this thing in my area, right? As a Florida landowner, you might be thinking, like, how does this really apply to our our geo specifically? And the answer is absolutely, especially in Florida. Not long ago, I could probably tell you the name and phone number of every landowner partnering with us to welcome campers to their property. And that's definitely not the case anymore. This is one of my favorite slides just because each dot here represents a landowner or organization partnering with Hipcamp to host overnight guests, with Florida being one of our fastest growing markets. So the people that we partner with, especially across Florida, are coming from all kinds of backgrounds. This includes farmers, ranchers, orchard owners, vineyard and winery operators, nonprofits, conservation organizations. I know many of you have probably heard of the Florida Wildlife Corridor and are maybe opted in to protect land along that corridor. Many of our hosts are very passionate about their mission and values. And so, you know, one of the things I love about this map is that it really just shows how widespread these opportunities have become. There are landowners all across the country using camping specifically and agritourism as a tool to support their land and their businesses. And we're seeing some of the strongest demand for farm stays and camping experiences experiences across Florida based on just search activity on Hipcamp over the last 90 days. So, if I didn't mention this already, we are the most widely used app across what I would consider the kind of younger demographic. These are people who are mobile first. They're on, Instagram and use Uber to get rides to and from the airports. They're very kind of tech savvy, but they're also deeply passionate about nature. And so we have all of this incredible data that helps us see where people are searching for camping from their phones and how that translates to Florida. So this map is actually just to orient you. This is where we're seeing just over the last 3 months a growing demand in for farm stay and camping experiences across the state. The darker colored counties represent places where we're seeing particularly strong interest for farm-based camping, but where there are still relatively few places available to stay compared to the number of people searching. And I think what's important to note about this slide is that demand isn't concentrated in just one region of the state. We see people looking for farm stays and camping experiences across the entire state of Florida, from the Panhandle to the Gulf Coast in South Florida. Even in many of the lighter colored counties on this map, we're still seeing tens of thousands of searches from people looking for places to stay. So while some markets are emerging maybe more quickly than others, what this really tells us is that people are actively seeking authentic rural experiences throughout Florida, and they're increasingly turning to platforms like Hipcamp to find them. We also have an earnings calculator that can help you estimate how much you can earn in your area based on how many days you're interested in hosting campers. I'll drop this in the chat, or here, let me type it in here really quick. Let's see, where are we? Oh, chat. Sorry, if you go to hipcamp.com, Florida Farms, that will take you to the earnings estimator. And one thing I think I'll add here is we know camping is actually driving real economic growth, especially for rural communities across the country. I love this number. In just over the last year, Hipcamp has driven over $2 million in revenue to about 750 hosts across the state of Florida. So imagine being part of that pie and being able to help it grow, but being able to take some of that income home. And through our last camper survey, there we go. Through our last camper survey, we actually learned that campers are spending $400 each on average, patronizing farm stands and spending money at local businesses. And we've seen communities that might be off the beaten path for tourism really start to become destinations in and of themselves because of the camping and agritourism experiences people are providing. And I'll just share, I'd never been to Florida other than Orlando and the beaches, like Miami and kind of coastal Florida. And I had a chance to visit Polk County last year for a landowners expo. And it was so cool getting to visit these orange groves that had been devastated by invasive insect species and seeing areas that had been also devastated by hurricanes, but to also see the transformation happening for agritourism stays and looking at how people are getting really creative with ways to create passive income and welcome campers to their land. So I think there's just the land is ripe with opportunity, and it's just really exciting to get to be part of the conversation. So what do you need to get started? I would say start with what you have. Folks often start with what they have. They get their first few bookings, then they add amenities from there. And we'll get into which amenities are most popular with campers. But I'd say if you offer a tent site or a structure like a yurt, It's important that you do provide a restroom and are able to dispose of human waste in a way that's good for the environment, good for human health, and that is compliant with local laws. That could mean a serviced portable toilet, a waterless toilet, or some sort of fully outfitted bathhouse. It really is going to depend on where you are located. Self-contained RV sites are a great place to start. Besides having a flat spot, you'll want to make some photos of you'll also want to just show some photos of your property, and I can get more in the weeds on that in a moment. Um, I'd say 90% of the campers who visit farms and ranches on our platform are staying in their own tent or vehicle. So this means that there is actually a real market for farmers who want to open their properties without building facilities. And it makes camping a really low barrier path to entry for you to try out just camping-based tourism. I would also say do your research. So we expect the Hipcamp hosts really understand and adhere to any and all regulations that may apply to hosting activities. Those may be regulations specific to overnight stays. They may be pertaining to fire safety, waste management, setbacks, and more. Every jurisdiction and parcel is going to be unique. So it's important that you are doing this research and making sure that you understand what's required for your specific situation. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm bouncing around here. I covered this. I think regulations related to your hosting activity can include state, county, or municipality specific rules. So guidelines and permitting requirements are something that you're going to want to do a bit of homework on. Where you live, every jurisdiction has different regulations that may apply to your hosting activities. In many states, once you have more than a certain number of campsites, it's possible that you'll need state approval in addition to whatever local approvals may be necessary. All right, I would say in some places, part of doing your research might involve learning that you have to notify your neighbors. So even if it's not required, we do recommend talking to your neighbors. Think about who might be impacted by hosting activities, talk to them in advance, make yourself available for their feedback, and let them know that they can call you if they have any issues or concerns. When you think about who might be impacted, you should always be looking at are you going to be sharing roads? Are there traffic and speed limits that they might want to keep in mind? Can your neighbors see campers from their front porch, right? Like make sure that you're creating space for folks to stay that is going to be more cordoned off. I'd say neighbor complaints are probably the biggest barrier to hosting successfully, and having an unhappy neighbor can be really hard for you and can create unpleasant experiences for anyone you host. So talk to your neighbors, think about where to put sites, where to place, somewhere that really gives campers privacy and your neighbors privacy too. And set your guests up for success. So what do they need to know? I'd say one of the best things about hosting with Hipcamp is that you are reaching people who are specifically looking for the experience that you are providing. That being said, setting expectations is still really important. You are welcoming people to a working farm, which you obviously are very familiar with, but your guests might not be. So setting clear expectations with people about, where they can and can't go, whether or not they can bring their dog. We have a section in each listing where hosts can set rules for their property, and campers have to read and agree to adhere to those rules before they are allowed to book. So take the opportunity there to really explain in your listing what to expect, help them understand what you expect of them too. Another example of the importance of setting expectations, I often book camping structures during colder months or shoulder season. So I might want to know, is there a heat source? Can I park right there, or do I need to park and then walk? Is this kind of a hike in situation? Am I going to have to carry anything heavy to my site, like big jugs of water? Is there firewood sold on site? All of that is really helpful in expectation setting with your campers. Campers will read your listing though and look at your photos, so make sure that they are prepared. And I'd say you're going to want at least 3 photos to set your listing up. So imagine if you were a camper deciding on where you want to camp for the weekend, what would you want to see? And I think a photo of the campsite accommodation, where will the camper be sleeping? What will the bathroom accommodations or facilities look like? All of that is really helpful. I'd also consider posting a photo or two that really highlights any amenities, like if you do have a kind of shared kitchen area or maybe a place where kids can come pet donkeys or goats, all of that is always really helpful in setting expectations. And I was looking at some of the farm listings in Florida, and there were so many really great options and reviews to choose from. This one here is one of our top rated hip camps in the state. And I love the first camper review I found. They loved experiencing the horses, the donkeys, goats. They even left a nice review about the tree canopy. A dozen other reviewers left comments about being able to buy fresh eggs and veggies from the farm. I'd say, like, you might think, well, I'm not a hospitality person, or I've never hosted people before. But what you really should keep in mind is these campers are coming to experience what it's like to be with you on your working land, and they just need a place to kind of set up a tent or a van, and really the land does the rest, which is what's so incredible about this model here. This does bring me to our top performing amenities. So none of these are required, but if you want to know what campers are looking for and what really helps you kind of stand out amongst your competition is really what we're looking at here. So folks love being able to have a campfire if it is safe and legal to do so. Potable water can be just such a treat. I know for many people, just knowing there's filtered water available makes a big difference in what they pack and kind of weight on in their vehicle. Having a place to go to the bathroom, or at the very least, they want to know what the bathroom situation is going to be. I have no issue with a self-contained campsite, and I'd say most campers feel the same way. But it's just nice to know what to expect going in. Being able to bring your dog is a huge plus for a lot of campers. I think a lot of kind of public parks and national parks prevent, being able to run around with your dog off leash. So if you have the land and the flexibility to allow that kind of amenity, that always goes a long way. Pet friendly is one of the most filtered options on our platform. And having everything really clearly marked and access to local food makes the list. So, I stayed at a Hipcamp in California not long ago, and the farmer had a like honor system little farm stand where you could pull, like whatever came from the field that day, whether that was like eggs or maybe blueberries or strawberries. A lot of farmers charge for those things, so it's really up to you what you want to do there. I love how I just kind of kept looking at more and more reviews and noticed a few themes. So this camper talks a lot about local food and privacy. So many folks leaving reviews made a point of sharing that this wasn't their first time on the property. They were returning year after year. Definitely sensing a theme here. Local food, I recommend taking a peek at other Hipcamp listings in your area where you can read reviews to see what folks liked, and also how they are traveling, since we include the size of their rig and whether or not they brought kids or pets. And I ultimately see this as like a win-win-win for landowners, visitors, and residents and communities. I think parties that are invested in supporting long-term land ownership, protecting rural character, keeping agricultural land in production, preserving open space, it really provides for public access and education. and ensures that recreation is happening responsibly and in a society where fewer than 2% of the population is engaging in agriculture. So, creating opportunities for the public to connect with farmers, agricultural land, with local food systems more broadly is more important than ever. Um, and I'm so excited that we get to be part of kind of figuring this out together. So, um, let me just skip ahead here. Yeah, I don't want to take up too much time. I'm realizing we're just about at the half-hour mark. I'll add that there's maybe one last piece here where you can actually add to your listing what we call extras. And that can be anything from a bundle of firewood to a breakfast basket. And so campers see those add-ons when they're booking, and they can select and pay for them in advance. But there are many Hipcamp hosts who earn more from on-site sales than they do from the campsite itself. So, you can ultimately have folks come and stay on the land, but then think of like, okay, what else am I doing here, right? Like maybe I'm an agritourism operator and I want to be able to extend some of the benefits from, a pumpkin picking to a blueberry picking, whatever that might look like, to my campers and charge for those additional things when they get to the land. So, I think you guys have a handle on the basics. As I said at the beginning, start with what you have, start simple, see if this is for you and how this fits into your farm business and lifestyle. And hopefully it turns into something really exciting that you can keep building on. So I'll stop there, Sarah, and just open it up for questions. I know this was a lot, but I'm really excited to see the faces here today and open it up for questions.
I noticed as you highlighted some of the farms, some of them are members of our association, so that's great.
Awesome.
We have members already doing it, so it's great. Gonna look and see if I see any hands being raised. If you have any questions, just go ahead and mute yourself. I know Michelle Welch was on here earlier. She's our board chair and her computer died, so she may have questions later.
Okay. Is anyone on the call a Hipcamp host today?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Great. Nice to have you.
Thanks.
And how's that working for you, Trina?
It's been really fun. We only did it for this last season. I think our revenue grew to about $1,000 a month from Hipcamp.
Oh, wow.
And it was also just really fun to have people from all over staying on the property. It was such a wide variety of different folks. We had tourists from Germany. We had people on huge road trips coming through. We had a guy that was a painter and he camped out on the property for a week and then came back for another week and he would just paint all our trees and our pond, really beautiful big canvases. So it was really fun.
I hope he shared with you one of the
Yeah.
pictures.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, it completely dropped off during the summer. We haven't had any hip campers in a while, which is totally understandable. It's pretty miserable at this time of year.
That it is. Um, Kristen, I see Joni had a question. What membership fees
Yep. Yeah,
does
there are
Hipcamp charge? Okay.
no membership fees. So we do take a small commission, which is 15% of the booking. So once the guest completes their stay, that just comes out of our payout to you.
And what's the average fee?
Well, I'd say the average booking is closer to like $60 to $80 a night.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It really depends on what you offer, right? So some farms in Florida I noticed are charging around $25 per night, but maybe they're also including quite a bit on the land once the camper arrives. So mention those extras, right? Some farmers will charge for firewood or access to a propane ring, or access to other amenities on the land. So it's really up to you, how you price, but that will determine ultimately what your take home is. And Ali, who's on our call here, can help with helping you set that perfect price. Sometimes it helps to look at what your neighbors are charging and what amenities they have so that you're not overpriced coming in. And I will say, getting seen and discovered, like I'm sure Trina has lots of really positive reviews and great pictures, and those things go a long way. Just coming out and saying hello and letting folks know how much it would mean if they did have a nice time to leave a good review. Those are things that can really help you succeed on the platform once you're live.
Trina, where are you located?
I'm in LaBelle, Florida. Yeah, and I do expect that we'll make more this year than last year. We were just kind of getting the flow of it last year, and we learned a lot about what campers really want and what's going to make their experience even better. And we're also kind of in the process of transforming our farm, and our hip campers last winter were the kind of like guinea pigs for that. So just a lot of farm cleanup projects, landscaping. They wanted to see more, like food and animals right around them. So I planted some more fruit trees that are in the camping areas. And the next go around, we're going to have goats, and I have some no fence collars so that I can have them graze in areas near the campers without endangering my plants that I want to save. So I've been thinking about infrastructure that just makes their experience more desirable. We have other infrastructure that I think helps us a lot, which is that we have a simple outdoor kitchen. We have a heated outdoor shower, which is probably the highlight that everyone has. It's completely covered in passion fruit vines, and it's just a really, really beautiful little hexagon shower. We have a simple outhouse for them to use, and then an internet is available as well. But yeah, we'll be continuing to work on the amenities that we have. And I also think that I underpriced in the first year because I was just trying to get bookings so that I could learn about it and get reviews. And now that we have some reviews and we've had some bookings, I'll start experimenting a bit more with pricing.
Amazing. Trina, your land sounds incredible. Just like a cut. Yeah, I'm like, where is this place? I need to book my next trip to Florida.
Yeah, it's really lovely.
Question about the platform. So as Trina said, she priced it one way and wants to increase it. Does the platform allow her to offer discounts to repeats? So if someone came this year and she raises the price next year, but someone who came this year wants to come again, could she price it differently?
Yeah, I can take that, Kristen.
Yeah.
Yeah. She absolutely can. We have the ability to create, or the host has the ability to create promo codes.
Okay.
And also, new feature, you have the opportunity to message all of your campers from previous years at one time, offering this discount code to them.
That's great.
And this is Trina's land. It's really beautiful.
Oh, yeah, we need to update the pictures. We have better ones though.
So cool. But so much of what I think makes a Hipcamp special is what you end up creating with your own vibe on the land. Like some campers really love having access to a community circle like what you have here, but then they also really treasure a place where they can, go home or go to sleep for the night without their neighbors being able to really see their space and what they're up to. And I love, what's different, I think, about people that are coming to Hipcamp over other platforms out there is no one is expecting you to have like washed sheets and linens for them. Like most of these folks are coming with the intent to camp. And so if there's a shower, amazing, right? If there's like a beautiful compost toilet with flowers and chickens running around, even better. So those are just to help anchor you around like what people expect when they come to Hipcamp. It's going to be really different from a more traditional place where you're maybe looking for an overnight stay.
Yeah, they're very self-sufficient. And we actually, on our property, we also have a three-bedroom house that we rent on Airbnb, and those are kind of separate markets for us. And
Hmm.
it's actually kind of a cool thing because we can take the dishes that, like the towels that are a little bit grungy from the Airbnb, or the dishes that don't quite match the Airbnb, and we can throw them into the outdoor kitchen. And people really love just kind of the character of all of the items and just kind of that rustic feel.
Hmm.
So that's been really helpful as well to have kind of a secondary market for our items that are no longer good enough for the Airbnb, so to speak, but they're great for the hip campers. Oh, and you also mentioned that some people want the community vibe and some people want the independent vibe. So we actually have two different zones on the property. We have the kind of the communal camping zone, which most people book, but then we also have a private zone on the north side of the property that really is truly isolated and private. Yeah, Mothwing Meadow is our more private zone. It kind of go through a field and then into a little wooded area, and there's a nice little spot there. So we kind of have a little bit of each.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's really basic. You really don't need much, and people are stoked for anything. They're stoked to have a little mini fridge.
And I can say from having stayed at a lot of hip camps, this is like 5 stars, guys. It's beautiful. It's true. Like just having things where a lot of campers are thinking about, what can I leave behind at home? What if there's one less thing that I have to pack in my car and unpack when I go camping? That's just a really nice thing for them to know. So being able to see, okay, we've got knives and pots and pans in this setup is awesome. Even if it's not, your prime kind of cookware, it's still something that campers appreciate.
How many acres do you have, Trina?
9.
Okay.
Yeah, and 2 acres is really our baseline. We typically think of that being enough where you can get creative enough to at least put one camper or group of campers off on their own. And then we see folks with a little more land starting to get creative, and you can obviously do a lot more with this space as your acreage grows.
All right. And some counties have regulations as well. We have
Right.
67 counties in Florida, so they all
Yes,
67 rules.
that's right.
Are you in every county? Are you in all 67 counties? It looked like it from the map.
We are.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I did see a comment about Harvest Hosts in the chat, and just to comment on them. So great platform. I'd say that there are subtle differences. The main thing is that they have a membership fee that they charge campers who want to use the platform, and none of the revenue that Harvest Hosts makes from those membership fees goes to your pocket. What does go to your pocket is that when you do host a camper who finds you through Harvest Hosts, that camper is obligated to patronize the property. So ideally, you're earning income from the camper through purchasing of a wine bottle of wine, or maybe you have a farm stand or some sort of activity on the land that you can charge for. What's nice about Hipcamp is that you get money in your pocket for every single stay. So if you have a camper who wants to extend their stay from 3 nights to 9, which I recently saw in a review on our platform, that's all money that goes to you. And so every stay you're earning from the community, and we just pay you out on a weekly basis for that business. Any other questions?
Well, if you think of any questions, you can ask Kristen at our conference. She'll be there. Uh, Alan says great information. Great. Alan and I were speaking earlier today, and he said, he was going to listen to it because you're always looking for something new to do with your land.
Alan, what do you do on your land today? Oh, I think you're muted.
You're muted. He's a rancher, and he has wedding venues.
Oh, amazing. I see him trying to come up.
There you go.
I got back where I could unmute. So yeah. So yeah, I have a cattle operation, and I also have 2 event venues. I do have 4 houses on the property that I currently just use for overnight stays at for our events. But looking at expanding that, and then I also we have some great fishing lakes that would tie in well with camping too. So I mean, people that are really interested in that, and I was thinking about expanding into that. But yeah, it's a new thought and a new possibility for us.
Love it. If you're thinking of just what can I do with maybe a little extra land here and there, or maybe you're hosting an event like a wedding, but you want to invite people to camp, right? Like, hey, why don't you bring your camper van or your RV or just pitch a tent? You can actually charge for those folks to stay. So there's a lot there. And I will say that hip camps that are along any sort of water, like a river or stream, a lake, a pond, those all tend to do really well because people are looking for just places to kind of recreate. Once they get their tent set up, they want to do a cannonball or swing into a river. So good to keep in mind if you're near water. Except Florida, I hear they're gators, right? You might need to peruse the water before you tell people to jump in.
Yeah, the water's often brown around here from the tannins.
Yeah. Well, unless you're fortunate enough to be in a springs area.
Right. Yeah. The springs are gorgeous. All right, I don't see any more questions. Anyone else have any comments, questions?
Ellie, did you drop your contact info?
I'm not sure if I did or not.
Okay. I'll drop my email. And Allie, if you want to drop yours too, that way the team, everyone here has access to that, and we're a direct line to
Wonderful.
all of you. So any questions, feel free to reach out.
Well, I certainly look forward to meeting you guys at our conference, and I'm actually in the process of doing a podcast, and Sarah will be helping with this, but you guys might be a great one to include on our podcast.
Yeah, we'd love that. Please feel free to stay close as you kind of build it out. We're always happy to jump in on things like that.
Yeah, this is an exciting opportunity that Alan brought to us with a group called Artifacts, and Temple Grandin was their first interviewee. And
Cool.
I'm not sure how familiar you are with her, but there's movies about her. Claire Danes played her. She revolutionized the way they slaughter cows, and she's got a doctorate, correct, Alan? I think she teaches at Colorado State or somewhere out there. So
Yep.
it's going to be very exciting. They're
That's
setting
great.
up at our conference.
Yeah, she does teach at Colorado State,
Mhm.
and she has really revolutionized the way that cattle are handled and treated. That's pretty amazing.
Wow, amazing. I've heard her name, but I just looked her up, and just such an remarkable story.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the movie's really good. I watched it years ago. I'd never heard of her. So
wow.
I highly recommend it. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. And Kish is telling us to go to Cozy Oaks Farm. Are you on Hipcamp, Kish? Okay. We'll see.
Oh, good. He'll be at the conf over Jacksonville.
Okay. Amazing.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate everyone who came on. And I do record these, so I'll be sharing it with everyone who registered, and we also share it with our members. So um, I really appreciate it, and can't wait to meet you in person.
Thank you so much. Thanks,
All
everyone.
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon. Stay
You
cool.
too. Bye.
Bye.